Whoa.
Slide in is back, baby.
Slide in action. Welcome back, everybody. Week 2. Hopefully everybody got a chance to check out last week's episode.
That was a good one. One for the ages.
Yeah. Yep. The inaugural. All right. So, week 2, boys, welcome. Welcome. We are going live this week, straight to YouTube. I don't think we told anybody about that. Maybe we should let them know in case they want to go and watch it live.
Yeah, it's true. I'll go try to find this link real quick and send it over.
Okay, perfect. I'll go ahead and
have some callers or something.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice if we did this week.
Yep, found us right here, baby. It's only
Okay,
a few seconds behind, but yeah, I'll drop that in the chat. Dope, man. Let's get this thing started.
Yeah, let's go. Week 2, man. So just kind of do a little bit of the rundown like we always do, getting into it. You guys can see we added some tickers down there at the bottom for you so you can kind of go along with us. We're going to also screen share. You'll be able to take a look at our scoreboards, maybe see some teams that we're talking about. But Sunshine.
Man, what a week.
JR going off. I think you said in the chat his bench, I think, beat like 2 or 3 teams this week.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, there was at one point he was like third. His bench was in points.
In points total. But only behind his team and yours, I think.
Yeah.
At the time.
I mean, that was a crazy week.
Comeback wins for the Jets and the Cardinals. Both of those were pretty damn good games. The Jets obviously being able to come back from that Nick Chubb touchdown. That's a sticky situation to get into. I hate to be Nick Chubb in that situation.
You know what? It's nice when he's on your fantasy team, though.
It's true. Yeah.
I wasn't mad about that.
Cards came back too. They were down, I think, 23-7, and they had so many chances. The Raiders just kept getting penalties on themselves, and Cards finally took advantage of that and came back and won that football game. The horse teams, man. You're a Colts fan. I'm a Broncos fan. We don't have much to be positive about right now.
No, I mean, and if you look too at, expectations, not just as the team, but like at quarterback, right? Both teams have new quarterbacks. Matt Ryan, people thought would come in and be that guy to, use his veteran leadership to take us to a level. And a lot of Colts fans thought it would be basically Super Bowl or bust. And Russell Wilson going to Denver, high hopes there. Game 1, he actually looked decent, right? But bad time management at the end of the game, but by the coach. And then this week, I mean, he's just been flat, wouldn't be fun having him as your fantasy quarterback unless you have Jalen Hurts.
That's the only thing that I've got going for me is that Hurts helped him out this week. But yeah, I'm not excited about Russell Wilson, especially where I picked him. I told you guys I was going to pick him high. I expect if I'm going to pick a quarterback that high, I need 20 points out of him every week. And it's not to the point yet where I'm necessarily worried about the Broncos as a whole. There are things that bother me for sure. The play calling is atrocious and the clock management sucks. But I think that we do continue to get better. Look, we won the game, but which I guess is the only positive that came out of that. It's a big positive, but
yeah, that's one more win than the Colts have.
Yeah, that's true. You got any big surprises after 2 weeks, NFL wise?
I mean, that's one, right? That the Colts haven't won a game. The Jags are first in the division, the AFC South, and that's definitely a surprise. Did not see that coming. Something that's not a surprise is that Josh Allen is really good at football. But what about you? I mean, any surprises? Anything
Um,
aligning?
I would say the Colts is definitely the big one. If I had to choose one, it would be the Colts. I think that the Broncos are surprising me right now. They're just falling flat. But the Lions have surprised me. They've scored over 30 points in their first 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, being on Hard Knocks, watching that, I mean, I was pumped, and I'll be rooting for the Lions this year.
Yes.
I'm a believer, man. They're bringing the roar back.
There's another one that's kind of out there. The Bengals 0-2 is a little surprising, just falling off a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover, maybe.
Yep.
And one other thing we want to get to for the rundown, we have a trade in the league. We do have a trade. One trade went down yesterday afternoon between Wilson and Mooney Tunes. Team owners are myself, Logan, and Devin, owning the Mooney Tunes. The trade that happened, Justin Jefferson was a part of it. Big time player. It was a big trade. It was Mooney Tunes receiving Justin Jefferson, Jeff Wilson, and Cordero Patterson, with Wilson receiving Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, and Jamal Williams. What's your thoughts on that trade?
I mean, when you're getting Keenan Allen, who's been, busted up, but has a history of coming back from injuries and doing really well. I like Keenan Allen a lot. I'm a big believer in Justin Herbert. So I don't mind him there. Having Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift can, be somewhat rough, because are you going to play them both every week, or are you going to pick and choose which one to play? I don't know. I love DeAndre Swift. I think he has, the potential to be like a number 1 fantasy running back. Because, he's getting volume. He's not getting those goal line carries, but he can catch the ball out of the backfield as good as any other running back in the league. But on the other side, they're, Squid's getting Devin, rather, is getting Justin Jefferson, Jeff Wilson, who is becoming more and more, salivating, I guess. Mm-hmm. I think I'll play him again this week in DFS, because the 49ers cannot keep running backs healthy, and he is the only guy there. They've got one other rookie, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, who's actually really talented, but, he's the dude. He's the only one left. So I like him for now. Cordero Patterson, I like him. I tried trading for him. I like his upside, but he is also getting older. So I don't know. I feel like it's a really fair trade. It's a long-winded way of saying that. And it was one of those that it just makes sense for both teams. Each team, kind of upgraded where they needed to.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. I'm going to look it up. It's Jordan Mason is the name of that rookie, behind Jeff Wilson.
Jeff Wilson, what a name,
Yeah. Tyron Davis-Price was behind there. He went down last week with, an ankle injury.
Yeah.
In San Francisco. I guess that their practice field and their field is not up to par.
No. And you got to think that they know it by now, right?
Yeah.
It's happening. Yeah. It's like Baltimore last year. Every running back that touched the field got hurt. Like, you have to realize something's wrong. But with the 49ers, we're not talking like multiple years in a row.
Yeah.
It was just a few years ago where Jerick McKinnon went there. Everyone thought he was going to be the next big thing, right? And he wasn't. They had McKinnon, they had Tevin Coleman, they had all these running backs lined up. It was almost silly, right? And all of them got hurt. So it's just, that's how Elijah Mitchell came to be who he is. And then he got hurt. Now Jeff Wilson's back. So
yeah,
it's just bizarre, man, seeing how many running backs that they're losing.
And that's where I get kind of flashes of Elijah Mitchell, basically just with this Jordan Mason cat, because that's how he got a shot. And Jeff Wilson, part of the reason that I added him in that trade was just kind of what you said, how they go down so often. And I'm just so banged up, and I'm just not good. I'm not banged up. I'm just not good at running back. I was looking to fortify that position a little bit, and to kind of tag on that Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift getting both of those. I'll never start both of them. In fact, I'll always start Swift unless he's not going to play, and then I'm going to start Jamal Williams. The only reason that I really added him to the trade was for that cuff. I think it's a good cuff. There's not a whole lot of cuffs that you need in 8-man leagues, but it just gave me a kind of a comforting thought to where if DeAndre Swift goes down, being my number one, I've got his backup. So,
yeah. Yeah, and I think like someone like Hines, right? Like Naheem Hines with the Colts, he's on my bench and he's going to stay there. Like I'm never going to start him. He's had those games where he'll blow up and score a couple touchdowns. He's involved in the passing game and whatnot. But, I mean, that's just not how they're using him now. So he'll just sit on my bench and act as a handcuff for Jonathan Taylor. So I get it. Same way. Like, there are only a few handcuffs that are worth having in an 8-man league, for sure.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So we'll go ahead and get into the winners of this week. JR got a big win over Logan. So the Florida Sunshiiiiiinnneeee's beating Wilson 211 to 131. That was just he was winning by a lot the entire game. There was never anything interesting about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was like both of those Monday night games that we watched. The game was competitive. Just like, all right, we get it. Let's cut it at halftime. But yeah, man, it was a tough game, and having Jalen Hurts and watching him just go off, but knowing that it didn't really matter.
Yeah,
I'm sure that was frustrating.
Shawn over Damon. That was another good game. I thought going into this week that was the matchup to watch, and it ended up being one of the closer games that we had. I think being only 15 points. Drake getting another win over Robert that takes him to 2-0.
And Robert down to 0-2.
Robert down to 0-2. I as well. I am also 0-2, and so is Damon. We got 3 0-2 teams. And then Mario going 2-0 over Devin.
Yep. Speaking of, you mentioned, asked the question earlier about disappointments. Derrick Henry has got to be a disappointment, right? At this point, 2 games in, I know it's early, but I mean, goodness, if he didn't get that one touchdown, 2.5 points.
Yeah.
For Derrick Henry. 3rd overall pick. Yeah. So
looking at a really, really bad week if that didn't go down. Any bad beats? Did you see any bad beats at all?
No, I mean, nothing was really close. I mean, no nothing really that I saw. Most of them kind of played out the way it looked like they would. I thought I was going to have one because I thought Damon was going to come back and beat me because he had, he had Cook, A.J. Brown, and Dallas Goedert, and Buffalo D, all left on Monday, 4 players. And between those 4, he only had to score like 50 points or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought there was going to be, but no, I didn't notice any others.
I don't really want to call it a bad beat or anything like that. Like you said, everything kind of shaped up the way that it probably should have, and nobody really did too bad. Just because I want to try to find one if possible. I did think Damon's loss to you could be considered maybe a bad beat. He lost by 15, and he only got a combined 15 points between Dalvin Cook and Tom Brady.
Right.
So that one can kind of sting a little bit, but again, not a bad beat. He still put up 148 points, whatever it was. It's just whenever you go back and look at that, it's hindsight.
For sure. Yep.
Okay, so let's get to the power rankings.
Here are the power rankings. Yeah, these are cool.
Let's hear yours first.
Yep. So my power rankings, just running down the list. I've got JR's team, Drake, Shawn, Mario, Logan, Squid, Damon, and Robert, in that order.
Okay. All right. Any surprises to you that you thought while you were filling out those
I mean,
power?
I did. I leapfrogged JR's team up there. Like we talked about last week, like I'm just not a big believer in Aaron Jones. Um, but I mean, when he strings together games the way that he has, and he's looked pretty good on the field despite AJ Dillon getting a lot of touches. Um, and then having Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, and Jalen Waddle all go off in the same game. I mean, there's no way he's not the best team in the league just with that combo.
Mm-hmm.
And then going down the line, I mean, Logan's mom. This was mentioned earlier before the show started. If you look, like whenever you're looking at a team name, like it has these, your initials.
Mm-hmm.
He made his Donna.
Yeah, I saw that.
Took it a whole step further.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that before, so that was cracking me up. No, this is a nice view. I'm glad that we can share the screen.
Yeah, it helps everybody kind of see too who like your top 3 players were that weekend.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. So I mean, when you got these guys just popping off, and the fact that it's not even showing Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
I mean, and Cooper Kupp had a good game. So I mean, that just shows how good his team is. And
did he have a good game? Is 31 points good for Cooper Kupp? I don't know.
11 catches, only 108 yards, and only 2 touchdowns.
So. Yeah, if you're going to get 108 yards, I'm going to need at least 3 tugs.
Yeah,
and like 18 catches. I don't know.
He did lose a fumble though.
Oh, maybe that's why it didn't. Maybe that's why it seemed a little small.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yep, nuts. But then, I've got Logan's mom, aka Drake, sitting at number 2 in my power rankings. I'm not big on defenses. I just had one score 22 on me. His team scored 25. But I will say that's one we were talking about DFS last week that I said I'd be interested in Tampa's defense. Mad at myself for not going through with it and picking them, but overall, I mean, his whole team performed just well, right? Like nobody really like boomed, but nobody busted, right? Let me go back and check. Well, I guess Trey Lance went down and he still dropped 142 points. So.
And that's that'll sting, but
yeah, and everyone else just kind of had good games. So even with Pittman out that week, he still put together a solid win. And then I've got myself, Jonathan Taylor had a decent week 1 without a lot of touches. Week 2 was horrible. So I'm expecting him to turn it around, and you partner him with Chubb and Lamar Jackson, who can put up these crazy numbers every week. I just really like my team at number 3. So that's my top 3, man.
Okay.
What about you? Let's hear yours a little bit.
So for mine, I'm also going with JR at 1. I had Drake there just based off of the performance from week 1 and week 2, but JR's performance in week 2, I think, has to leapfrog him to 1 with the way that his team played and his bench showed out. I just think that he's too strong to take away from that 1 spot. But I do have Drake at 2. That is something that I was kind of leery about. Also that defense, the defense thing that you had mentioned. We can get into that too. But I got the Catalina Wine Mixon at 3. Scary Pitts at 4. They moved up, I believe, a spot or 2 from last week. Devin at 5. He's Mooney Tunes. And I got the Goats at 6. Wilson at 7. And Dak Sucks holding it down at 8. The anchor, as I like to call
him. Carson Wentz is back. Yeah. I mean, listen, Bob, I love you, man. Your team looked like it had some potential before the season started. Najee just hasn't performed great yet. You've got some other players that haven't done it. But when your top player is Carson Wentz, it's going to be a rough season.
It might be. He needs some miracles to start happening. For those.
Listen, he's got Travis Kelce too, right?
Yep.
I've sent him about
He's got CeeDee Lamb. He's got Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, I mean, he's got talent, right? That's the thing. Like, Najee is really good. I love Najee. But I've sent him at least 18,000 trade requests for Kelce.
At minimum.
And he is, as soon as Kelsey's name's on there, he doesn't even look at the rest of it.
Yeah.
I sent him one earlier. I wish I could see it. I probably could in my email, but man, it was one he had to definitely think about, and it included like because he's weak at quarterback, so it was like Joe Burrow and Jonathan Taylor for Kelsey and Deebo. Like it was something crazy where like it really put him in a good spot, and he just isn't willing to give up on Kelsey.
Yeah.
So I get it. It's positional advantage in 8-man league.
Week 2, it's tough to give up on your team that you drafted. Yeah. But I'm right there with them. I mean, I didn't really make a trade out of desperation, but I did. I mean, I threw a lot of trades out there yesterday. Pretty much all of them got declined, but finally found one in Devin. And I knew that I was going to have to let go of Justin Jefferson to get anything. I had offered you one too, but I know I was asking for a lot back. But it's kind of what I was doing with everyone. It was like, I'm going to get one of your best players if I'm going to give you, without a doubt, my best player. And if you're not going to play with me, then I'm not going to play with you either. Like,
I did. I sent a trade request to everybody in the team, or everyone in the league rather. And I just didn't see yours before Devin accepted it. So I don't even know what it was. What was that trade?
Really? It was, man.
I could pull it.
I'm going to go. I've got it here.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
Yeah. I sent you 3 of them, I think. Because I sent everybody one except for Damon. I know Damon doesn't really like the trade, and I ain't got time to get trade hated on, which Damon likes to do that too.
Yep. Listen, I've been sending Damon trades that just consist of Nick Chubb and Kyle Pitts because those are his guys. It just declined. People hate on Nick Chubb, man. I think
you would have to check your email to see it. I can't see what I offered. I can only see if something got declined.
I'll check it real quick.
But it was something like Justin Jefferson, Deontay Johnson. Man, I can't quite remember the full extent of it, but I think it was Justin Jefferson, Deontay Johnson. I can't quite remember. I know that I was getting back Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, and Curtis Samuel. I think I was giving you.
Yeah, that's what it was. Curtis Samuel, Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, for Jefferson, David Montgomery, and Jahan Dotson.
Okay, I thought I had Deontay Johnson in there. My bad.
With Deontay instead of Dotson there?
I probably wouldn't have offered Montgomery, or I still would have.
I wouldn't have done it. Honestly, I still wouldn't have done it.
I did mean to put Deontay Johnson in there because my thought was if I'm going to try to ask for Nick Chubb and Jonathan Taylor, I'm going to have to give up the 2 guys that Shawn wants, like for sure, you know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Justin Jefferson would look real nice here, but it would not look good if I got rid of these 2 guys.
I know you'd have
James Robinson and Miles Sanders as my starters.
No, you would have David Montgomery and James Robinson.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, you'd still have a squad. I mean, but I would basically be taking my strengths from running back or from wide receiver to running back, and you vice versa too. You know, we'd be trading problems.
Yeah, that's exactly what it would have been. But yeah, so it worked out. Your trade with Devin worked out for sure.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I offered Mario a couple of good ones too. One of them, I'm trying to get Derrick Henry and Michael Thomas. There was another one where I was trying to get Derrick Henry and Tyreek Hill, but I was offering up, Justin Jefferson and Deontay Johnson. I was, all my good guys too. And I think Mike Evans it really sucks that he had that game against the Saints and wasn't even looking that good whenever he went out and then he suspended. So the week that I was going to try and trade him, he kind of hurt me. I wasn't able to. I don't think anybody wants him right now.
Yep.
Any good starts? Best starts for you this week?
So I was looking around for that earlier, and I was looking at Logan's mom. So I was like, you know what? He had Pittman go out. Like, who did he start instead? And I thought it was Cortland Sutton, who had a good game, but he actually started him week 1 as well. So just throwing in, Marquise Brown. The biggest one, it was a late swap, right? Throwing in Jalen Waddle.
Very late swap.
Sunshine did. So that would be the one. That would be the best start that I noticed or saw at all.
Yeah, I got a couple that I wrote down. JR's Waddle was the number one. He had texted me since him and I were playing each other right after the game started. And he just said, I made some changes, kind of in one of those little emojis. I don't know, like, we'll see. Yeah. But he'd taken out T. Higgins, which I thought it was a good move to take him out, not knowing what he's going to do or if he's going to get, take a hit and get hurt or something in that game against the Cowboys. But shit, it worked.
It did.
No doubt.
Hard to argue that.
And, he could have chosen any of those guys. We talked, you can kind of see his bench. Is that his bench there?
No, this is yours.
But, yeah, let's take a look at JR's team and his bench. Like I said, it really didn't matter. He could have picked any of those wide receivers to fill in for T. Higgins. But the Jalen Waddle, obviously, it was the right guy. It was the right start.
Yeah, and I mean, here, let me go back to this real quick. Wow. I just went completely blank. There it is, scoreboard. I want to check something. So week 2. So 162. Yeah. He got third. His bench. Look at this. His bench alone scored 152 points.
Yeah.
That would have been good for third.
Wow.
That's unreal.
And again, only to him and you. Like, his starters were one of those ones that he's losing to.
Right. Yep. So he would have beat anybody. His bench would have beat anybody in the league except my starters.
Another one that I did want to mention, we kind of just talked about it with Bob, but I thought Bob made a good start with Carson Wentz. He had a plethora of quarterbacks to choose from once Dak had gone down. And he went with Wentz. It's 2 good games for Wentz. I think I saw somewhere there's like the only quarterback to move 3 teams or something like that, or to move to a team. That's what it was. The only quarterback to move to a team and throw 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in their first 2 starts, I think, is Carson Wentz.
Wow.
And you've got some quarter. I mean, Brett Favre played for 3 teams. I don't really know who else, to be honest with you, but so maybe that's more of one of those inflated stats. It doesn't really matter because nobody plays for 3 teams, but
yeah, I was just wow. Yeah, I don't know who's played for 3 that was actually good.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. I can name people who played for 3, but I'm sure there's other quarterbacks out there that we just can't think of. But yeah, that's all I really had though for best starts. Do you see any bad ones in there?
I mean, only because I know that this week he is starting. He put him into a starting lineup with Amari Cooper. Bob had him on his bench, dropped 25 points there. And when your flex has a 0.8, I mean, when you're playing Kenyon Drake, this is not a good start.
Mm-hmm. I've got that listed down as well.
I mean, of the options on his bench, other than Godwin, who didn't play, literally anyone else I would have picked, but also would have performed better.
Yeah.
So that's the one that stood out to me as far as bad, worst starts.
Yep. That one is the one that I noted that one for sure. That's the one that I knew wasn't good. Not that Kenyon Drake's bad. It's just in that new offense. You don't know what he's going to do. You don't know how they're going to perform. And Lamar Jackson runs the football. So they're not
and I mean, they play with like 3 running backs too.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just a little ballsy, I think. Another one was Mike Evans a bad start, or is he a guy that you start him every week if he's playing? Given the history with him and Lattimore and how he never performs well against Lattimore.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, he really doesn't. And I think you've got to look at those things. And those little things are what makes a big difference in a small league that's 8-man. Like we talked about last week. I mean, every team is good, and it's those little things that make a difference. So I would say, yeah, that would qualify. And I don't think that Mike Evans is a must start only because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Not every player, but there are players that just have bad games against other teams.
Right. Yep. I think it was a bad start. I don't know. I haven't looked at my team and saw what I would have done otherwise, just because it didn't matter playing JR. But I was so back and forth with it, and honestly, the reason why I ended up not doing it, that's what I was going to do. I was going to put Deontay Johnson at wide receiver and start Jeff Wilson at my flex is what I was going to do. I'm kind of kicking myself for not, but still just I felt like I was tinkering the way I was thinking and going back and forth on it, so I just stopped. I kind of stopped myself, put my phone down and said, forget it, just leave it, see what happens. And really his 9 points were a little swollen. He had 1 long catch. So,
yeah, but that's one of those things, like you said too. Like tinkering is sometimes not good because then you're like, oh, I played the wrong one. Well, no, you should have just, went with your gut. But yeah. So I mean, I don't blame you for starting it for sure. I mean, because he's always got that potential to go off.
Yeah, he's got 15, 20. Mm-hmm. I like his floor. I think his floor is about 10 when he's not playing the Saints.
Yeah.
Another one that I did mention, it's a tough one though, but Devin started Darnell Mooney. Over Allen Robinson. I know Robinson didn't have a big performance in week 1. He did do well in week 2. I think that they were trying to go after him a little bit more in the red zone to kind of make a point. But I like Allen Robinson and Elijah Moore over Mooney. I don't know if maybe he was just a little curious to see what Mooney was going to do when the Bears were going to throw the ball.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, especially going against Green Bay, but historically, kind of going back to the Saints and, Mike Evans saying, historically the Bears just, pull a stinker against the Packers.
Yeah.
There's no middle ground there. So that's tough. But at the same time, you do have to assume they're going to be throwing the ball quite a bit. So
yeah,
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So not a bad start, but just something maybe worth mentioning.
Yeah. You know what would make that look better? Sliding Justin Jefferson in that spot. Yeah,
that would make that look a hell of a lot better.
Moving forward, having Justin Jefferson is going to look real nice.
Let's go on to the waiver ads. Any notable injuries, anything like that this week? What's the waiver wire looking like there? You got it brought it up with our recent activity. I'll mention this. Devin needs a tight end.
I tried trading him for giving him a tight end. Like, here, I'll give you a tight end for free on top of this even trade.
Yeah.
And he said no. So
not interested.
Listen, if you're new to the show, people hate trading with me because I am the first ever and only back-to-back champion. First ever 3P, first and only.
Yep.
We'll see after JR's run.
Now, I want to come out and say I am not afraid to trade with Shawn. I will trade with anybody, anytime you name the place. I'll trade with you. We just got to find a way to make the trade and make it to where we both walk away feeling a little unhappy. You know, that's how a compromise is. You both walk away feeling a little fucked.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I upgraded the position I need. I downgraded another position. But the other person, the same thing happened. You know, like, hey, I'm not like really stacking their team, but also like they're getting an upgrade, but also I'm taking a good player of theirs. I feel like over the years we've had really good trades.
Yeah,
the two of us. And Robert's no trade clause with Shawn a couple years ago. It's still lingering.
It's stuck.
Well, I mean, listen, I got really good at making trades for a while. It was to the point, though, like if you look back at some of those old teams, my bench was horrible. If someone would have gotten hurt those 3 years, I was just fortunate, right? But I would always trade like good players, like 2 or 3 good players where they were weak for one great player. And like I just kept doing that and my teams just grew, and now I can't do it.
Yeah, nobody wants to play anymore.
Nobody wants to do that. No, but this one's cool. Dropping Trey Lance, picking up Joe Flacco. He's back.
Is Joe Flacco elite?
Is that still a question?
I mean,
like we've been asking that the last decade.
He just beat the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah,
sounds pretty elite to me.
I think he's. Here's a better question: is Joe Flacco in the Hall of Fame?
No.
I mean, I don't think so either. But is Joe Flacco elite? No, he's not.
Joe Flacco, no. Hell no.
Is Matt Schaub? Joe Flacco is Matt Schaub. Like they're the same.
Joe Flacco and Rich Gannon can go in at the same time if they want.
That's a really good comparison too.
Trent Dilfer. He can go in there with Trent Dilfer.
I like good old Trent, you know? I like
You
Trent.
can like him, but do you want him to be your fantasy quarterback? Or
No, heck no. I'd be cool if he was my quarterback in real life.
Yeah.
If I was an offensive coordinator, I would also throw or run the ball a lot more than most.
So you would take Joe Flacco too?
But I'd be fine with Joe Flacco, yeah.
Well, yeah, I thought that was a little precarious in picking up Joe Flacco there. But, I mean, Joe Flacco did have a good game, so I understand it. Jimmy G was already gone, so he wasn't able to do that.
Yep.
Mario added Jimmy G last week, I think.
Yeah, I don't know where that is.
Yeah, I think he added him through waivers.
Oh, yeah, it was just today that went through.
Oh, was it today? Okay, it was today.
Got Matt Ryan, picked up Jimmy G.
Okay.
And Dak sucks. He used a couple waiver positions.
He did. Yeah, Bob and going and he changed defenses, picked up the Pats running backs. That'll be a little interesting to see on who he starts each week. The Pats are always going back and forth on who they're going to use, but usually one's going to do well, so I don't think it's a bad pickup at all.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember what the waiver wire was and if Mario was ahead of Drake. Was he? Does it tell you there? I don't think it does tell you exactly. But the only reason I'm wondering that is if he tried to get Jimmy G and he just wasn't there because Mario got him.
Yeah, here's the order of the waivers that were processed. They're processed in this order.
I can't really see.
Looney Tunes tried.
Yeah.
Can't see that here.
There we go. There.
Yep. So Mooney Tunes tried. This is really cool. I've never actually looked at this report.
Yeah.
So he was unsuccessful there. Wilson also tried to grab him unsuccessfully.
Yep.
So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So Jimmy G was still there. So Drake knows something about Joe Flacco.
He chose Joe Flacco, huh?
Yep.
Okay. Well, we'll have to keep that one in mind.
Yep. Maybe he just wanted to get away from the Niners. Who knows?
That could be it too. Yeah. I think the Niners are better now too.
That could end up being a trade that, or a choice here that really affects his team moving forward.
Yeah. Damon added Garrett Wilson. We just mentioned that. I figured he was going to be a pretty popular waiver ad. And then, like we said, Devin needs a tight end. I'm sure he's just looking to stream one. He's just going to add one and not add it through the waivers, you know.
Yep.
A couple good ones out there. You got Tyler Higbee, Logan Thomas.
Yep. Higbee's there for now. I thought about grabbing him just so no one else could.
Mm-hmm.
Just one of those guys that I don't think should be out here. The only issue is I don't have that many players I can just drop. And I'm a big believer in Dawson Knox's talent, but I would take Tyler Higbee all day. The amount of targets that he is getting every game is unreal.
Yeah.
Like, let's see.
Higbee's always been weird for me, man. It seems like every time I get him on my team, he does nothing. And then I drop him and he scores 13 points.
Yep. So 20 targets through two games, right?
For a tight end, you're not getting much better than that unless you're Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce.
Yep. 11 in week 1, 9 in week 2. And he caught a few more of them. And those are decent, right? Like 7.8, your average. That's pretty low. That's normal for a catch the ball tight end, catch the ball and fall down.
Yeah.
But 10 yards average, that is really good. That's great for a tight end, but that's really good even for wide receivers. So doing that and putting up decent fantasy numbers at the tight end position without a touchdown is pretty good. And out of the next 3, he's probably got a couple of these where Arizona and Dallas where he can put up points. San Francisco usually plays tight ends really well, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. He might not be available for Devin to play.
So scoop him, yeah. And then I did add. It was an ad, not a waiver claim, but I did add Jacoby Myers.
Nice.
Really, the only reason I did that is this week my receivers that we talked about Mike Evans being suspended, and then Gabe Davis battled on that late week ankle injury from last week. Not exactly sure how that's going to go. So I just wanted to try to beef up those wide receivers a little bit in case I needed somebody to put into my flex.
Yep, gotcha.
All right. DFS lineups, daily fantasy lineups. I believe you had mentioned that we're not going to talk about last week's.
I would rather not. If I look at the positives, I won $11. I won't say what my net was.
Okay.
But it has a minus sign in the front.
Sure.
So not a great week for myself.
A
lot of close calls though.
Really yeah. I was kind of the same. I'd actually ended up I only put in $3 this week just because I did a bunch of those free contests just to get in there and mess around. But I'd only bet $3. I lost all 3 of it, but it was a good lineup. It was one where I had hammered some overs or some high over-unders and just, I don't know, I guess got lucky, but I didn't get lucky enough to win any money. But I was just a few outside of the dollars. But I think we did have some good starts.
We did.
We had some dudes. We just, in one, I had DJ Chark in that lineup where I almost won some money, and he scored 0 points for me. So,
yeah, and the one that won me a few bucks. I started Carson Wentz. I was just hating on him a minute ago, but I I'll play stats and I'll play matchups even if I don't like somebody. But that's the thing, right? Like you and I, we don't do like the double ups, the cash games that people call them.
Yeah.
Where you just have to get like in the top half and you win. Like we both kind of go for broke and let her rip, right? Put together the best lineup and win the most money. So I bet if we did cash lineups, we would net a positive for sure, just based on where our placements are. But man, I'm swinging for the fences.
I might end up doing that this week. I might just do some like 50-50s or head to heads maybe even, and then like one tournament.
Yeah, that might be the play. But yeah, I mean, I was real disappointed. I mean, when you get a few guys right in a lineup, it really makes you start questioning, like, why didn't I match this lineup with that lineup?
Yeah.
So I might start doing that too, where I just have one tournament lineup. That way I'm not competing against myself and doing the what if. So, I mean, I had Sutton who played well, St. Brown who went off, Tyreek Hill that went off. But I partnered that and I stacked the Broncos against Houston. So I had Russell Wilson at QB and I had Jerry Jeudy because I thought him and Sutton would both have good games.
Yep.
It just didn't happen.
If you're gonna do that stack, man, you got to look at those over unders. Got to, like, imagine, and I mean that's what I was saying on this. One of my best lineups was looking at the two high over under games for last week, Washington and Detroit being one of them, and that game was just raining fantasy points all the way around. I mean, Jerick McKinnon had 13, Gibson had 12. You know, Wentz went off. Dotson had a touchdown. Terry McLaurin scored 12 points. Curtis Samuel scored 22. And then, you know, you got the Egyptian sun god, Manra, scoring 39. What a nickname.
That is. That's a good nickname. Yep. Yeah, so, I mean, it's one of those things, man. It just kind of stinks. One guy I was high on, I talked to you about before we played, was Granson. Kylan Granson from the Colts, just because he had been getting some playing time. He was, you know, week 1, he had some targets go his way. He had 7 targets in week 1. And we're talking like dirt cheap punt option at tight end. Like he was $2,600.
Yeah.
But he did play quite a few, like most of the snaps. He did catch both of his targets again. So as long as he's cheap, I will probably continue to punt at tight end. Because if you go like for one of the big dogs, I mean, the rest of your lineup where you're going to score the bulk of your points is just lower quality. So I'd rather punt there, get some points, and then, you know, go for broke on the other spots. And maybe that's a bad strategy. But I mean, I've had lineups that have gotten really close, know, where it's made some money. Just haven't won that $1 million yet.
Yep. And we won't be making a man out fantasy show if we made $1 million. So
yeah, if next week
I will, and it's going to be a lot better than what we're doing right now.
Yeah, it'll be in Vegas.
Yeah,
a real production.
Yeah,
we'll do it up. I mean, this week, anybody that you're trying to start this week?
Yeah, so like I mentioned this earlier, I kind of just ran through a couple of the deals anyway. I think everybody knows who's good, and I'll let you get into that. You found a little bit of a study in that DFS right before we got on. But as far as value picks, quarterbacks this week, I like Derek Carr versus Tennessee. He's under $6,000. All of these quarterbacks are under $6,000. I like Kirk Cousins versus the Lions. We just talked about what the Lions and the Commanders did last week, and think about what Philly did to the Lions in week 1. I think Kirk Cousins is set for a pretty decent game. And then I also like Matt
Stafford. Bounce back game, right?
What's that?
So especially a bounce back game.
Yes, yeah. He got, the Philly defense were stalwarts against him last week, so on Monday night. And then I like Stafford versus the Cards. I actually think he's 6,100, maybe. I can't quite remember, but I like Stafford against the Cards. The Cards are giving up quite a few passing yards. They're not afraid to go for the over either. So,
yep, nice.
I I like Demont versus the Texans, Devin Montgomery. I think that the Bears are going to run the ball. They are who they are. They came out week 1. It was raining, and they ran the ball a lot. Everybody was kind of saying, well, this was just a script because of the weather. It was a weather script. But then they just ran the ball a lot again. I think they run the ball more than anybody else in the league, and I think that's going to continue as they try to slowly get Justin Fields comfortable. I don't think they're going to really start letting him get over 25 passes a game until the second half of the year. So,
yeah, I like that play a lot too.
I like James Robinson. It's another one. He's only $6,100, and his price is going up every week. He's getting more action than ETN. He's the guy to have there.
Yeah, for sure. And that, when you asked earlier about surprises, that was one I almost brought up, but it wasn't that surprising to me. I thought ETN would be more involved, but I knew James Robinson would be involved. Like, I knew ETN wasn't just going to take over, but he was definitely drafted way too high in our league. But
yeah. And then one other guy that I do like, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Chocolate Eclair.
Chocolate Eclair, man, he's slept on.
And he's another guy where his cost has gone up every week. First week he was $5,400. Last week he was $59, and now he is $6,300. I think this is the cheapest that you will get him for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. And off of that, I was looking at fantasy points per game and the associated cost with those. So looking at like Cooper Kupp, right? Like he's basically going to be the chalk play every week. Everyone's going to want to play him. Big name, but he always delivers. He's averaging 35.3 fantasy points a game, but he's also $9,900. So, I mean, that is a big chunk of your budget. That's 20% of your budget gone with one player. And if you look, I mean, Stephon Diggs is putting up more fantasy points per game, and he costs $2,200 less. So 38 points per game at $7,700. Somehow that feels like a steal. Tyreek Hill at 31 points per game at $7,600. Jalen Waddle, $6,800, right around the same, 30 points per game. And then you're looking at Justin Jefferson, right? This week, $9,300. And that is just rough to spend up on Justin Jefferson, even though he's going against Detroit, when you've got those other options that are thousands of dollars cheaper. But the ones I'll point out that are more value picks, Curtis Samuel, we just talked about it. Carson Wentz is throwing the ball a lot. A lot of those targets are going towards Curtis Samuel. He's only $5,100. He's almost half the price of Cooper Kupp and going to put up 20 plus points, right? So it makes sense going there.
You could almost get two of him.
Right.
For Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, you pretty much, you can grab two decent receivers for the same price as Kupp. Another one that's really close right there where it would almost work is Christian Kirk. This should be a high-scoring game, the Chargers and Jacksonville. There's going to be a lot of throwing the ball. He's putting up 23 fantasy points a game, and he's only $6,200. So he'll definitely find his way into some lineups for me.
Yeah, that's a pretty good steal on him, and he's probably another guy where his price is just going up every week.
Yep, he was $5,100, then $5,700, and now $62.
Yeah.
Get him while he's hot.
Yeah, get him while he's hot. Get him while he's cheap.
Yep.
The highest over-unders that I looked on, again, we mostly just do Sundays, Sunday all day. So these won't have anything to do with the Thursday or Monday night game. But I got the Bills and Dolphins over-under at 52.5. These come from FanDuel. These aren't my over-unders. I didn't make anything up. So you don't be like, that guy's not smart, I'm not going to listen to him. I got it from someone else. So
blame them.
Yeah, blame them. Don't blame me. Bills Fins, though, like I said, 52.5. I think that's a pretty good over-under. The Bills defense is good, but they just showed that they can get to a 52.5 over under on their own.
Yeah.
But I think any player from that game is going to get you some fantasy points, whether it be from the Dolphins or from the Bills. And then the other one, again, the Lions are going to be – I think the Lions are going to be in one of these high over-under games all year. Lions versus Vikings. Grab some of those players. We just talked about Justin Jefferson maybe being a little bit too high in comparison to maybe a Tyreek Hill that you want to grab. And the other big game that's going to go off. And he's cheaper than Justin Jefferson.
Yep. And I think you got to grab Amon-Ra St. Brown, too, at 7,200. I mean, you could partner Amon-Ra St. Brown and Tyreek Hill, and that's, 14,800.
Yeah.
And that's a great core of your receivers.
That is, and you can punt pretty well on tight end, like you were mentioning earlier, and get Granson.
Let's put together a lineup. We didn't talk about it before. Let's just do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so let's get into this.
And then, as always, I think you flirted with it a little bit last week, but I think we both kind of like punt and defense, just trying to find it good.
I go really cheap, somebody that can get some turnovers.
Yeah, something like that. And that in the lowest over-under games, we've got the Saints and Panthers and the Bears and Texans.
I was going to say that. Not only is it a low under-over with the Panthers and the Saints, anytime you're going against Jameis Winston, I like that matchup because he's got potential to throw 3 picks.
Yeah, any game. Any game.
You can throw 3 picks. And they are the second cheapest defense, the Panthers are.
That's probably the move. It's going to be the move.
Yep. All right, so right now we've got Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kylan Granson at tight end, which, again, is our punt play, and then the Panthers D. So we've still got plenty of room here for other guys. So you mentioned a couple of values earlier. Where do you want to go next?
So let me get these guys tagged in here, and then I will see as well. I did mention David Montgomery. I believe he is under 6,000. He could be a guy.
He is under 6,000. He's 5,900.
Let's grab the Panthers real fast. Ooh, where? Okay. Let's go with David Montgomery.
Eventually, I'll sign into DraftKings and whatnot on the spot on the computer.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know my username and password. I just do it from my phone.
Yeah. Just bring it up there.
Yep.
So just with this, what we have here, we have an average remaining player of $6,000. That's pretty good. You could go with one of those quarterbacks that we had mentioned earlier, in either Kirk Cousins, Matt Stafford, or Derek Carr. I'm half tempted to go with a Kirk Cousins and then maybe try to slide in Kirk Cousins is actually not that cheap. I thought he was.
6,700.
Yeah,
Derek Carr is 900.
I would rather start Tua and tie him with Tyreek Hill.
You think that Tua just went off, right? And we're talking like Baltimore's defense is pretty good. But again, like something I had mentioned before, and part of the pick 2 reason that I had Tyreek is Baltimore plays a lot of man-to-man. So
sure,
it's a good matchup. But I don't know if Tua can do that against Buffalo. Their defenses just look too good. But I don't know. I'm open there.
Other good ones. We've got Carson Wentz, Derek Carr. What about Jared Goff? What's Jared Goff look like as a start?
5,800.
You double up with him and Amon-Ra.
I think that's where I would go.
Yeah.
He's got that potential to throw a lot in that game. But I think you could also potentially stack him. You know, I hate Swift that, you know, he's got a bum ankle, but maybe that's too much of a stack. I don't know. But there's a lot of different ways we can go with that other running back position.
What are we looking at? What about some receivers? We need a good receiver. You'd mentioned Bateman. Drake London's down there right around the same price.
Yeah, Bateman against New England. That'll be interesting.
And then you also have Garrett Wilson against Cincinnati for 5,400.
That's hard to beat. Mike Williams, I know it's a little bit more, but against Jacksonville at 6,700. I think that one could be juicy too. Nelson Aguilar.
I need to know if Keenan Allen's playing or not.
Right. Yep. We need to know that.
Let's see.
We know T. Higgins is playing, right?
Yes.
Against the Jets, and he's 6,100.
I like your Rashad Bateman pick.
Bateman. All right, let's go Bateman. All right, Bateman's in, locked in. We got a flex and a running back spot available. Average remaining salary per player of $6,250. So we've got room here. We could stretch on one of these and punt at the other, or pick two really solid players. One that I like at running back, 5,500, is Miles Sanders. They do run the ball. They figured out they can run it with him. Jalen Hurts could keep it. They've got a good offensive line. He's averaging 15 points a game too. So
okay,
and that leaves our flex wide open. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I can't find Jeff Wilson Jr., and that's bothering me. And I even looked up his name, and he's not popping up.
Well, is he? He's playing on Sunday or on Monday?
Oh, he's a Sunday night game, but I thought this should have been a full Sunday lineup. It must not be.
No, he's not on mine either. Yep. So I think.
What about James? You know, I like the James Robinson pick.
James Robinson, yep, at 6,100.
All
right, let's do it. James Robinson's locked in. We got $6,400 left for our flex. Christian Kirk is available. That really stands out to me right now.
The only thing, we just took James Robinson.
It's true.
Do you want to stack like that? I'm not sure.
No. I don't know. Let's see. If we had Christian Kirk, who would we put in there? I mean, we could go with the Chocolatey Claire against the Colts instead of Robinson.
Let's do that and then put Kirk in at the flex.
Kirk in the flex, and then it's like a perfect fit. $0 left.
Yeah. And then we got some of the guys that we'd mentioned.
Yeah. So to read this off for our crowd here, we're going with Jared Goff, Chocolatey Claire,
Fresh Prince,
David Montgomery, Rashad Bateman, Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kylan Granson, Christian Kirk, and the Panthers D. And you know what? This is the type of lineup that could hit or not.
Yeah.
It's not quite a boom or bust, right? I think this lineup actually has a really solid floor.
I do too.
It's those players like Tyreek, and I think that's what you have to have in these. You have to pick a solid floor, but with really high upside. And Tyreek Hill is that like exact example where against Buffalo's D, who knows? Right? Are they going to hold him to 5 catches for, 70 yards? That's still a pretty good game.
No touchdowns? Yeah.
Yeah, no touchdown. That's still a pretty good game, right? Or is he going to pop off for 12 catches, 250 yards, and 3 touchdowns? Like, he's got both ends of that. So I don't know. This is the lineup. I like it.
We definitely got something to watch. We got something to pay attention to. We'll keep track of that, and that's kind of what we'll do too on DFS. We'll say how our lineup did, this one specific lineup. I think we should throw that into a couple of 50-50s maybe, or head-to-heads like we were talking about.
Yeah, I could do that for sure. Cool.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on. We're kind of getting tight on time here. We'll get to our pick two. Remember, guys, this is where we pick two guys from fantasy teams or from the fantasy league. Shawn and I just pick them. Not really in a draft. You just pick them and then you compare them. If anybody's the same, we will redraft that one specific player. Last week we did running backs and wide receivers. Shawn pitched something, and I think it's a good idea. We're going to do a pick two and kind of change it up on what we do every week on positions. No kickers, no defenses.
Never.
Only stipulation.
Yep.
What do you want to do this week?
I mean, let's just go the opposite route. Let's go quarterback and tight end.
Okay, yeah, I'm cool with that. I am cool with that. Let me take one quick look here. All right, I'm ready whenever you are.
I'm almost there. All right, so all right, I'm ready.
All right.
I'll see you, man.
So I got Jalen Hurts and Travis Kelce.
All right. Well, hey, we don't have to repick any.
Really?
Yeah.
You got
Probably a surprise. I love Travis Kelce. But we are going with Kyler Murray and Tyler Higbee.
You do like him.
I do. I think it's a really good matchup. And so I picked the same game because I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, go
on. So we'll see. That's what I'm hoping for.
That's a good little. That's a nice little strategy there for the pick two. Is go.
I almost went Mahomes and Kelce against the Colts.
Okay.
I don't want to root for that like while watching the game.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, and you guys can see our pick two down at the bottom here from last week. What we're going to do is we'll keep a record of every week on who wins. So basically, Shawn right now, he is 1-0. Points aren't going to be – they're not going to accumulate or anything. They'll be all week to week. But Shawn going 1-0, so congratulations to Shawn.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Let's get into week three. Week two, we do we're doing the predictions too. Again, you guys can see this scrolling across the bottom for you. Shawn last week going 3-1. I went 2-2. The only difference being the Devin versus Mario game where I had chosen Mario and you chose Devin. Devin thinks you got something against him.
Does he?
Yeah.
I don't have anything against him.
I
don't. It's nothing personal.
I told him it wasn't. He knows.
It is this week, though.
I thought it was funny that, this week you played him this week, and you had him back in the power rankings a little bit too. So I'm sure he's watching this thinking that dude, man, what did I do to him? I took him on a Ferris wheel, and now he wants.
That's hilarious. Yeah, the first time for those who are new to the show, first time Devin and I met was, I think that was the first time, right? Was that
Yeah,
the
I
bachelor
think
party?
so.
Yeah, first time we met, it was a big party in Cincinnati, bachelor party weekend, and had a lot of fun. And somehow Devin and I like wandered off through this crowd, and there was like a, I don't know, like a carnival or something going on, and we were like, yeah, let's just walk down there and see what's up. And somehow we were walking around, we had a beer, and we were in the line for the Ferris wheel, and we had no idea. And so we were just like, all right, fuck it, let's just go. Let's go on this Ferris wheel. So the first time we ever met, we went on a date.
That's so sweet. Love at first sight.
Love at first sight.
Okay, so and we got the week 3 matchups scrolling across the bottom too. If you guys ever want to kind of play your own game and play along with us, you can throw out your own predictions too. And if anybody ever does anything crazy, goes 4-0 a couple weeks in a row, maybe we'll give you a shout out, get you on the show.
Not just a shout out. I think that might earn a sticker.
A sticker? Is that what you said?
Yeah, send him a sticker.
I still owe Mario his koozie that I told him I'd buy him.
Yeah.
For defense chosen that scored 0 points this week. But hey, somebody had to take the first chance.
Let's do it.
So first games that I got marked down here is here. Well, let's just go off of the bottom here. We got Catalina Wine Mixin versus Logan's Mom. That is Drake versus Mario. Who you got?
2 teams of 2-0. Both of them projected to score almost the exact same amount of points, right? But this week, I think I'm going to go with the team that I think is strongest from top to bottom, and I'm going to go with Logan's Mom. I'm going with Donna.
All right. That is a game that I kind of went back and forth on too. The 2-0 records, each team looks pretty good. They look solid going in. I think Drake takes a step back this week with the quarterback situation, and I think Mario takes a step up with Derrick Henry turning things around. I'm going to go with Mario in that first game. The Catalina Wine Mixin. The fucking Catalina Wine Mixin. After that, we got the Florida Sunshines versus Dak Sucks. That's JR versus Bob. Who you got?
JR.
Me too. I think that JR's team is just a little too much to handle for Bob. I'm not hating on Bob's team all that much. I just think that he's going through some struggles right now, and he's trying to find his way.
Yep, same.
Excuse me. The third matchup, you got the Goats versus Wilson. As Damon versus Logan. You got.
Listen, Eckler's usage has been way down. Dalvin Cook has not figured it out. Has a really juicy matchup this week. A recent trade. We'll see if DeAndre Swift can actually fit in and mesh with this new team that he's on, being a part of Wilson now. So, you know what? I'm actually going to lean towards the Goats this week because I think Eckler's he's going to get way more touches, and Dalvin Cook is going to have an explosive game, and it's going to be tough to beat. I don't think that your team's going to score a few points, right? Like, I don't think you'll be at the bottom of points. I think the Goats is going to be the highest scoring team this week.
Yeah, I actually have Damon winning this game as well. He's got Dalvin Cook. He's got Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's got Dallas Goedert. All of those guys are going to be involved in, and he's got AJ Brown. All those guys are going to be involved in high scoring games. Also, tie that into with the AJ Brown and the Dallas Goedert. Tie that in with the fact that I have Jalen Hurts. He's going to be eating up a lot of my points that I'm getting from one of my best players, and I just see that to be tough to kind of mess with there. So I went with Damon as well. And then the fourth and final game, Scary Pits versus Mooney Tunes. That is Shawn versus Devin. Who you got?
I mean, I'm never going to vote against myself, so I'm going to pick myself here. But I would not be surprised if I don't get beat by quite a bit. His team is stacked. I love his quarterback situation, having both Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. I think Mahomes against the Colts is going to be really good. And Justin Jefferson now being on that team, having a juicy lineup or matchup rather. So we'll see. But I'm going with myself, never voting against me.
Okay, and I know that I said that I wasn't going to vote against me last week either, but I wasn't being honest, to be completely honest. I will vote against myself. I have no problem doing that, especially if I feel that I'm really going to lose that game. You know, I don't see any reason in not voting against myself. But that's just me. I don't blame you for not. I do have Devin winning this game against you this week. I think that his team is pretty strong. It looks like he did pick up Tyler Higbee. Maybe he was live.
He was listening to us live.
He is starting on his team right now. That right there may have just been that's huge for him. The flex position is something that I'm a little worried about on this prediction, but I think ultimately Alvin Kamara plays and gets a good game against the Panthers. I've got Mooney Tunes winning this game 143 to 134.
Nice.
So going into next week, we've got two games that will be different from one another for next week. So we'll keep an overall record on that too. Maybe give away a koozie for a pick 2 and a predictions.
I love it.
Win going on. But you got anything that you want to add here going into week 3?
No, I mean, it's another fun year of fantasy football. And I'm just pumped, man. We're back at it a couple weeks in. Still holding strong. I haven't given up hope yet. So we're still going, man. What about you?
I got nothing, man. I got nothing. I haven't lost all my hope, but I've lost quite a bit of it.
I feel you.
But I'll tell you what, man, I love doing this. I love doing the show. I hope everybody enjoys it. They're having fun. Anybody kind of to hop in, I can always share the link. You just come in for a segment, run some interviews or something. So
yeah, sit here the whole show if you want, or just pop in for a few minutes, whatever.
Either way,
jump in. Call us.
All right, guys. Good luck, everybody. Week 3.
Yep.
Peace.
Yeah.